Okay, this is actually very appropriate that I'm doing this today, because today I just got this in the mail. Can you see? There you go. Just got my Chromakopia merch that I pre-ordered online before the album dropped. But yeah, just got this today. And today I wanted to also talk about the album. It's been a week since the album dropped. I already reacted to the album last week when it dropped. The full reaction is in the description. I'll put the link there. I won't spoil the entire reaction for you. You can go ahead and watch that. I also put my socials in the description if you want to go ahead and follow that. But overall, during and after that first listen, I had fun and I was uncomfortable. And I think that was what Tyler was aiming for during the execution of this album. During my first reaction to Chromakopia, I mentioned how the album reminded me of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick and 444 by Jay-Z. And I do think Chromakopia resembles those albums, not sonically or artistically, but how this is Tyler's coming of age album. This is an album that marks a new step in his life and his career. Obviously 444 by Jay-Z was almost like his last album. That was him closing the Jay-Z chapter of his life, and I don't think Tyler is ending his career anytime soon. But this is an album where Tyler is more mature. This is another chapter in his life where he's dealing with different issues than he's dealt with on previous albums and previous projects. These are more adult topics, if you want. He's talking about whether or not he wants to start a family. He's talking about monogamy. He's talking about his relationship with his mother, with his father that he's never met. He's talking about unplanned pregnancies. He's talking about how he wants to grow old. He talks about celebrity, fame, paranoia, a lot of deep, powerful topics. And on this project, he's more vulnerable than ever. He is very open and very honest on this project. He is braggadocious, but at the same time, he's very anxious. There are a lot of contradictions in his emotions on this album. At times, Tyler says he wants to have kids, but at the same time, he doesn't want to settle down yet. And on this album, you see these contradictions. He's still the same old goofy person that he's always been, like on tracks Ratata, where he's yelling 50,000 on me, 100,000 on me. They're sticky as well. That is super fun. He's still the braggadocious person that he's always been. He's still talking his shit, like the time where he said, I'm the biggest out the city after Kenny now. But at the same time, again with the contradictions, he's battling this internal conflict. He's not okay. He's becoming more mature and he's asking himself a lot of questions. And this vulnerability that's highlighted on this album, it's even more highlighted by the fact that it's his mom that's narrating on this album. On previous project, it was Gerard Carmichael that was narrating Igor, for example. It was DJ Drama that was narrating Call Me If You Get Lost. And on this album, Chromakopia, it's his mom. And I think that highlights the fact that Tyler is counting on his mom at this stage of his career and his life to show him the light and remind him of who he truly is at this stage of his life where he's asking himself a lot of questions. Basically, Tyler is going through an existential crisis on this album. It's his quarter life crisis. He's in his 30s right now. He wants to know how he's supposed to live his life now. This is basically puberty for Tyler. His body is changing. He talked about the gray hairs on his body. People view him differently than before. He has different responsibilities than before. His opinions on stuff are changing. So it is his quarter life crisis, his puberty in his 30s. And what I've found interesting since this album dropped, that a lot of people have been highlighting that what he's saying on Chromakopia is in contradiction with what he was saying before on previous albums. Like on Flowerable, he says, can I get a kiss and can you make it last forever? And on Chromakopia, he says, well, forever is a mighty long time. On She, that track with Frank Ocean, he talks about stalking a love interest. And now on Chromakopia, he feels like he's being stalked and that he feels paranoid now. On New Magic Wand from Igor, he says, I want to be found. On I Thought I Was Dead from Chromakopia, he says, I don't want to be found. So there are a lot of contradictions and his opinions are changing. And these contradictions of bars, I feel like they represent perfectly these emotions from this quarter life crisis. That his actions are catching up to him. He doesn't feel the same way that he used to before. And that's highlighted by on the track Tomorrow. I feel like that track is the 10th track on Chromakopia. And Tyler always has this habit of having the 10th track of each album be a double track. Tomorrow is not, it's just one single track, but he says fuck traditions basically. So he's changed his opinion on traditions as well. He even says that on Same Chroma as well. He says give a fuck about traditions. That's one of his first bars from the album. And also on Take Your Mask Off. That is a very interesting track. I feel like that track gives a lot of insight into what the album is trying to tell. On this track, Tyler's criticizing a lot of characters, a gangster, a gay priest, a depressed suburban mom. And the final verse of Take Your Mask Off, Tyler starts criticizing himself and his life choices. And he realizes that maybe you shouldn't criticize other people. Maybe you should start from within. Hence, take your mask off. And he's talking to himself. So yeah, Chromakopia is Tyler's quarter life crisis. Tyler now in his 30s, maturing, going through an existential crisis, a quarter life crisis where he's asking himself a bunch of questions. And it's in alignment with all his discography. On Call Me If You Get Lost, on Massa, he says this. He says, yeah, when I turned 23, that's when puberty finally hit me. My facial hair started growing. My clothing didn't really fit me. That caterpillar went to cocoon. Do you get me? See, I was shifting. That's why Cherry Bomb sounded so shifty. So Cherry Bomb was his puberty, musically speaking. And now I feel like Call Me If You Get Lost is his quarter life crisis. Obviously, we're just 1 week removed from the album. There's still a lot to unpack. This isn't a video where I try to delve into every mini detail of each track, but I feel like the main message of this album is that Tyler finally sees the light, and he sees that the light comes from within. He doesn't have to have all these material things that he was talking about on Call Me If You Get Lost. He realizes that happiness comes from within. And what's the definition of happiness for Tyler? That we still don't know. That's why he's saying all these contradictory messages on this album. Do I want to be a dad? Do I want to start a family? Do I want to just stick to this music thing? He doesn't know yet, but he's asking himself the questions. I also mentioned in my first reaction that this album reminded me of an audiobook because there are a lot of separate chapters, very different messages at times, and there is a lot of shock value in each chapter, a lot of powerful messages throughout, and I feel like that makes it a very powerful, coherent album for me, that there is a story being told throughout. And I feel like in today's music consumption, most people, including me, listen to albums to try to pick out 1 or 2 songs that they can fit in on playlists or something. I obviously do that, of course, but this album, Chromakopia, I feel like is to be consumed in its entirety. Some of these tracks don't fit in on playlists. They scare the hoes. Tyler is commanding your attention throughout this album. You can't not listen to him, and he's bringing up a lot of uncomfortable topics, and you're sort of forced to listen to what he's saying and the questions that he's asking. So of course you're not going to be able to put a song about abandonment and missing your father on your chill vibes music to relax to playlist. So yeah, joining what I was saying earlier, that it reminded me of an audiobook. I feel like, of course, you can have a favorite chapter, you can have a favorite passage, but you enjoy it the most when you consume it, when you listen to it in its entirety. And I feel like that's what Chromakopia is to me, an album in all senses of the word. And it means that I want to listen to the album more and more. I want to find different meanings to the songs. Like I Killed You is a song about abortion and can also be a song about race, and it could be Tyler talking about his hair at the same time. And also I still want to understand how this album is connected to the aesthetic that he's promoting, and the color choice, and all the different visuals that he used during the rollout. I did see a clip where Tyler says that he chose to wear a mask because the topics are so uncomfortable and open that he felt more at ease wearing a mask when he's bringing up these sort of topics. There's the elements of tyranny with the character Saint Chroma that is leading a bunch of people to their demise. There's the explosions of color. So yeah, maybe that represents the fact that even though Tyler is responsible for all this color and music and beauty in the world, he, in his personal life, is leading a very strict lifestyle that he doesn't want to have kids. He wants to live life in a specific way, and he's sort of a tyrant in that aspect. Maybe, I don't know. That's just one interpretation. But yeah, overall, final verdict. I think this album is fantastic. I think it will gain more appreciation in the future. Like, it doesn't have that pompous, feel-good, braggadocious vibes that Call Me If You Get Lost had. It doesn't have as much of that mystique and instant hits that Igor had. It doesn't have that coming of age and innocence that Flower Boy has. But what Chromakopia has is its honesty, that it is uncomfortable, that it is real. This album is raw, beautiful, and uncomfortable. And just like Mr. Morale and 444, I think it will be appreciated more with time. This is a great addition to Tyler's discography. I can't wait to see what he does next with his music. And yeah, that's Chromakopia for me. Great album. I just wanted to talk about it one last time. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this album. Is it still in rotation for you? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What's your favorite track? Also, of course, thank you so much for watching. Just wanted to yap real quick about this album. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Share the video if you like it, of course. And yeah, it's your boy Qais. That I do that in the intro. My bad. Yeah, have a great day. It's your boy Qais. See ya.